Hello everybody, my name is Sylvain Rochon, once again for another vlog video this week. I have a little bit of a cold, so my voice is a little strange and I may cough a little bit, but it's coming to an end, so I'll be fine. What I wanted to talk about this week as far as what technologies can enhance human experience is very simple. It's more about energy generation today, materials in particular that allow us to generate new electricity or new energies, or in some cases save on it. Because as you know, what's really important for the environment and as far as even costs is not the amount of energy you generate, but in fact how much energy you really need. So it's actually like the profitability of energy. That's really what you want to focus on. So how much do you consume? If you reduce the consumption, then you're out a winner. If you are able to generate more safely, environmentally, using alternative methods, that's also good. Both even better. So today I want to talk about engineered materials, or at least modified materials that allow us to do some of those things. Some of them are very exciting, and I'm a particular fan of materials development, because materials means it's not like a motor that has a specific function. It can only be used for this specific function. Materials can be used to construct traditional motors, new walls, lights, different pieces of equipment, and so you grab the attributes of that material and you apply it to all sorts of areas. So that could be very, very exciting, and people can find innovative ways to reuse some of these materials in different form factors, different formats, different areas, different industries. So there's a lot more potential in cool material development. So I have three things to declare. I don't want to spend too much time. If you want to have a little bit more information and links, you can look down below at my blog and the reference links. So I just want to go on the surface of three different materials, one of which is not really a material, but I'll get to it. The first is the Perovskite Minerals. Perovskites are actually, it's a type of mineral that is found in nature, and it has a specific crystal structure. They're typically called perovskite crystals. And what's particular about these materials, this crystal, is that it'll generate electricity when exposed to light, when exposed to heat, and when exposed to movement or kinetic energy in different circumstances. And you have a lot of different kinds of perovskites because it's actually a form of a structure. So we are discovering different kinds of perovskites, either artificially or in nature, all the time. Now, one that was discovered recently, which is why I'm talking about it here, is that it can actually generate electricity from these three different forms at room temperature, and it's a natural material, and which opens up a very interesting segue of experimentation, if you will, where we can kind of adapt and modify and kind of mold it artificially so that it can be more efficient and do things in a cooler way. So that's really, really nice, because then you can apply this material and have different properties and really understand it in all these different ways where it can be useful. And what's really neat is that it can actually take light and kinetic and heat all at the same time and generate the electricity with it. So that's really, really neat. Now, the second material that would be extremely useful as well is something that's it's a metamaterial. So something that's completely engineered in the lab. It's not found in nature at all. It looks a little bit like a saran wrap. It's about 50 micrometers thick. So it can be in rolls. It can be wrapped. It's inexpensive to build, apparently. And what it does is that you can wrap different surfaces with it, and the surface when anything is heated up at any temperature, it cools typically with using different methods. One of which is using infrared radiation. So when something is hot, it goes, it radiates energy, and infrared is, let's say, hot, if you will. So this film on top of a surface allows infrared radiation to push through. So the material cools off more efficiently, than if you cover it up with rubber or some other materials. So that's really good for cooling. But to top it off, that material also reflects sunlight. So you can put it on a roof, for example, and the roof is going to cool off because it's going to irradiate its infrared radiation back into the atmosphere, so that it's going to cool off. But also it's going to prevent the heating from the sun to actually come in with all its might and glory. So we could potentially, by just using this inexpensive wrapper on our roofs, for example, or even the roofs of cars and homes, whatever it is, it can significantly reduce our air conditioning bill, because the sun doesn't heat up the roof anymore, or very lightly, and the roof is still letting the heat out. So we could have, this, according to the tests, if it's wrapped with this, your home could be just about as cool, a little bit hotter than if it's during the night when the sun's not out, because it's that efficient. So that's really, really neat. And you can imagine all sorts of applications. Just imagine, because a lot of places do spend a lot of electricity in heating, and if you use this material, then the heating costs go way, way low because the buildings stay cooler. That's great. Huge applications for all sorts of other areas as well where heat is a factor. Now, the third element is not really a material because it's actually living. It's bacteria. There are some bacteria that exist in nature that generate electricity when just as they do what they do, as they consume and process materials. So what scientists did is they figured, okay, well, let's make it eat something useful to us, in this case, wastewater waste. And then it's going to generate the electricity. You recuperate this electricity just like you would a battery. And then you put it back into the circuit of the wastewater plant. So, and it's not very, very efficient, but bacteria will eat and grow on their own, right? They're going to duplicate on their own, so it's very, very cheap. Just put it in the wastewater. And they're going to replicate by eating the wastewater. And while it eats the wastewater, it generates electricity to help alleviate the strain on electricity from the whole processing of wastewater. So we can have a percentage reduction of energy required to treat wastewater. And then the bacteria it's harmless, so it can be removed very, very easily before the water is cycled back into circulation to do whatever it needs to do, or just shoved into nature. No problem being cleaned. So these are really great things, and again, I want to point out. These are applications that can go in all sorts of industries, and researchers tend to just focus on one thing, and they say, well, this is great for this, like roofs for the film, the bacteria for the wastewater, and for the perovskites. Well, okay, this team did not really figure out anything specific to do with it, but the point is, anybody that has a little bit of that is a little bit of an opportunist can think of an innovative way to use these new materials, experiment with it, and apply it in something very, very practical. And a bunch of teams can do similar things in different verticals and succeed in business and do some really, really cool things that we can benefit from. So I'm advising you to check these things out and see if you can do something with it. Advanced science and technology make our quality of life better, as well as it can allow us to reduce our consumption of energy, which is really, really important. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe it gives you a few ideas. And if you have comments, or if you like the video, please like it and comment. If you want to subscribe, well, go for it. I'm going to have new videos every week, just like I usually do. And in the meantime, while you ponder this off, I'm going to continue healing my cold and prepare for next week's installment, which may be more philosophical. I'm not sure. I have something in mind for next week, which may be different. All right, so catch you next time, and have a great week. Bye-bye.